You're listening to iFanboy Pick of the Week, episode 998. My name is Connor Kilpatrick. This is Josh Flanagan.
Heyo.
And we are iFanboy, and it's iFanboy 2025. It's our 20th year of doing the show and our 25th year of doing iFanboy. That's where the 2025 comes from. And plus, it's the year. And that means every week for 25 years, one of us has picked the book they like the best from their stack of comics. We call that book the Pick of the Week. We'll talk about that book, other books of the week, the Patron Pick, listener mail. We have a good time. It's cold. We're tired. The sun's going down earlier. It's just a whole thing. I nearly fell asleep.
I'm not complaining about cold at all. There's nothing.
I'm just saying it's all adding into. I nearly nodded off about 20 minutes ago.
Nice.
Should have been a problem.
You ever you're around people and they're making small talk and they say something like, "Oh man, I just wish I missed the hot weather," and I just think, no, why would you do that? There's no need to.
Depends where you live.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it make you feel awful to be in the sun as well, or is that just me?
No, I like it. I miss being in the pool and reading a book with a drink. Josh,
no direct light for me,
who has very sensitive and brittle skin, has the pick of the week.
Hey there. That's true. Pick of the week this week is at the top of the script, which I'm going to scroll back to, which is disturbingly long. As I scrolled up, it took 2 of these, and I was like, that's too much. Pick of the week is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 321. For those of you who are most of you reading, you can probably skip about 10 minutes ahead right now. Just go ahead and get that done. Larry Hama, Chris Mooneyham, colors possibly by Segala, Francesco Segala.
No, it was Segala.
Yeah. All right, couldn't find it. Whatever. I vaguely heard tell of another silent issue coming up. Like I didn't quite remark it.
They just did this.
No, they did various special issues by other people.
I know. I'm just saying, and I love this issue, but I'm just saying because G.I. Joe 21, which was the first silent issue because of production, weren't they late? Isn't that why they did it silent?
Yeah.
That's like the most famous G.I. Joe comic ever. They go to the well a lot, and this is the 300th anniversary, or I guess 300 issues later, which totally makes sense. But like 6 months ago, they just did like 7 silent issues.
Yeah, well, this is comics.
So,
you celebrate the 25s, you celebrate the 50s, you said whatever it is, you can turn into a thing.
Why they even
call
do
your
that?
show iFanboy 2025? It's in your blood. You can't help it.
Yeah.
But the fact is, this is the OG one. And so
totally.
I'm reading it, and I'm a couple of pages in, and I'm like, oh, there hasn't been any dialogue yet. And then I flip, and then I was like, wait, and I go back, and I was like, okay, there hasn't been any. For some reason, when I heard whatever it was, or like barely noticed that there was going to be some silent, I thought, oh, that's a ways down the road. I wasn't expecting it this time, and so for a second, I thought I'd missed something because you see, and I don't know who this girl is, by the way. So it's Snake Eyes and
Dawn.
Red Visor Lady. Dawn.
Needs a new code name.
Yeah, it's a bad code name.
I think that's just her name.
And I remember that the last we saw them, I believe they had been escaping Springfield after their failed undercover mission, because they were discovered by the Boy Scout or Cobra Scout, whatever he is. And I thought,
apparently, while we weren't reading this book, she was just codenamed Female Snake Eyes, which is not a great code name. So her name is Dawn.
Terrible.
Her name is Dawn Moreno, and they don't call her
even that. That I recognize.
Yeah.
There's this little bit though, as they're sort of they're basically at the beginning, they're driving towards the base, and there's a Cobra blimp, which turns out to be a bad choice, but I guess it's quiet, and that's why they used it. Following them, and I thought, wait, are these really them? Or these spies that Cobra is sending in here? Because I wasn't quite sure at first, and then
there's a lot of people in that blimp. If you look at that panel, the red panel, they just crammed them in there.
So like but 3 or 4 pages in, I was like, oh, I guess this is going to be that silent issue. And once that sort of clicked in, I was very much watching for the craft of the thing.
Yep.
And I found myself over and over going, man, this is great. It was so much better than any of those other silent issues.
100%. This is the best one.
Yeah, I mean, but like leaps, like we could read those and be like, this was all right. That was pretty fun, whatever. But I'm reading this one. I was like, man, between whatever Larry Hama said and whatever Chris Mooneyham did, just killer. It was like the first number 21 because it told a story with a lot of clever ways of giving us details about what's going on. There were like when they're coming back in, you're seeing the Joes look up at the monitor and you see the blimp, and then over on the side you see the sort of little tactical illustrations of it. They illustrate it with, you know, the words on the screen. You really get a sense, and then they flip open the button that says AA, the anti-aircraft button. You know, that's the only bit of color on the page, because the whatever the ready room in they're in is all green. That's just like one page example. There is another several page sequence, because what was the one where, like, was it like a minute long? They had a minute
Yep, and didn't make any sense.
and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, in this one, there's a bit where, and I'm not really sure why, it doesn't really make a sense, but one of the Cobras throws an old glass Coke bottle, and in the course of that falling over 1, 2, 3 pages.
It falls from a long distance.
No, it does. I'm saying that made sense. I was
Yeah.
like, this has been thought about better. And, you know, because it's the speed at which Dawn and Snake Eyes have strapped on these G.I. Joe backpacks. And when I say G.I. Joe backpacks, because those are the original G.I. Joe backpacks, like
jetpacks.
Stalker. Yeah. The best.
Yeah.
Like, they are my platonic ideal of a jetpack, because that's, you know, they still are. But like, that sequence worked really well. And just the way that the Mooneyham, this isn't going to happen. I was like, this is an Eisner level cartooning comic book. And I mean that without even my subjective, like, I love G.I. Joe. I just thought whole action sequence using no dialogue, and it was beautiful. And then there's a cutaway thing where there's like climbing up the ladder and jumping over.
Yep.
That page, I was like, oh, this is the best. And I went back through and read it. And then finally, a lot of those other ones, they were fine. But one thing that I didn't find here, I didn't miss the dialogue in terms of feeling like I was getting shortchanged a story. I feel like this read at the same pace it would have had there been dialogue, which I believe is the thing that's most impressive about the original issue, is that you are getting a full story. You are not getting you know, a little pantomime of something. It is all thought out. There are highs and lows and stakes, and there's lots of characters, and you are following it 100% on the line. Now, I just thought, God, it is so cool that the guy who kind of you know, pioneered this originally in mainstream comics, doing comics without words is not, you know, it's not reinventing the wheel, but you didn't see it. There's a reason that issue is remembered. They didn't do Superman issues like that. They didn't do, you know, that was a thing. And you know, the best thing about it is it's the absolute purity of the form. Like, this is what comic book storytelling should be. And I am overblowing it a little bit, but to watch the guy who was the first one who did it 40 something years later come and just do another just great one. And that's with characters who, the two main characters, one of them has a dumb name and has a stupid mask. And, you know, I don't know. I think this is Snake Eyes, but does it like,
yeah, it's Snake Eyes.
I know, but I don't know, Sean or what, who knows? Maybe he talks.
No, it's
maybe
Snake Eyes.
No, I know.
Sean's dead, isn't he?
No, I know. I'm just being facetious, but you know, it was great. It was just wonderful action. It was wonderful sequential storytelling. You know, even like the last page, there's the big explosion, and you know, there's the two panels of the Joes where they're grim-faced, and then you see them smile, and then you see why, because, you know, these folks are walking away from the wreck and they have prisoners, and it's goofy. They're both giving each other the thumbs up, and you know, it was a good time. I'm all blown out.
What do you think the third A stands for in the anti-aircraft?
I thought about that a lot, and I had to let it go. Anti-aircraft
something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something about airships.
What I really liked about that sequence was, so the Cobras deploy some sort of sonic weapon that takes everybody in the pit.
Which also, from a narrative standpoint, it plays into this perfectly, because at a certain point, none of them can hear anything either.
And so there's a great sequence where Scarlet's hand is coming up because she's been knocked to the ground, and she's trying to press that anti-aircraft button to shoot the blimp. And you get one panel of it's, you know, and the hand is not just, it's sort of
the shaky lines,
but also the hand is sort of making a gripping, like she's making an effort. You can tell just from the art that the effort is being made to get that hand up. And then the next page, she's on the table, but she hasn't quite reached the button.
Mhm.
And then in the third page, she gets there, and there's just a nice bit of sequential storytelling. Even actually, the third page, she doesn't even. We don't see the button. We just see we see the shot of her face.
Mhm.
You know, making like the grimacing face,
Yeah.
and then later on, we get the final where she hits the button. It just was a really nice progression. Mooneyham is terrific. I mean, they've had a lot of great artists on this image run of G.I. Joe Real American Hero, but Mooneyham's been my favorite, and he's just really good at this.
One of the things that I always think of is that he said, I don't know if there was the essay or just comments in the back of, I think the first one of these when he was the artist, and he's like, I didn't grow up with any of this. I don't know it.
Right.
And in a way, I like that because, you know, so many other artists are like, oh, it's my favorite thing. So they've got something to try to like do that they think it should be. Mooneyham doesn't. He has the character designs to work with, and you know, he figured out from there and is doing his own thing. You know, he's not. There's no part of him is like, I got to make this like Ron Wagner did.
Right.
Even if it's subconsciously, and maybe he's read them since then or whatever, but it's like the best of both worlds. Basically, it's a fresh take, but also, or you know, he's taking all the things that it's supposed to be here.
Right.
I mean, just great art. It's wonderful.
It was really good issue. It was really good.
Yeah, this was.
I mean, just maybe compared to those other ones I did, it was like not even close.
Yeah,
this is much better than the ones I did. This is like a fairly fun comic you can pick up, and you just get a complete tale of adventure at G.I. Joe
action
Island or whatever you want to call it.
You don't even need to know G.I. Joe, really.
Yeah, just a story.
Yeah, I read this first, and I was like, oh, I think they could be pick of the week, and I never got beat.
Yeah, it was great.
I read good books. I enjoy my books, but it just was like, this is how you do it.
And it is, I think, a little bit in contrast to a couple of books I read this week where I was like, too many words.
Oh, sure.
Too many words. And this might be bookended with the other highlighted book of the show, but we'll talk about that later. We can move on, though, to DCKO #1. This is the first, as it says in the cover, a DC Comics event. This is the bridge from the previous story, all in? Was it All In?
All In.
The Darkseid story. And so at the end of we talked about this last month or last week, whenever we did the show last. That Superman and Booster Gold and a bunch of heroes got together with Doomsday, and they said basically they're going to have to deal with Darkseid. Darkseid, of course, had been thought killed, but was sort of sent to another universe, which became the Absolute books in the Absolute universe. And here, but Doomsday and a bunch of other time characters, including Booster Gold, basically says there's a lot of cosmic gobbledygook here.
Sure,
I didn't love as much. Where this is basically like every planet or whatever has a champion. Darkseid is the champion of his planet. There needs to be a champion of Earth, and the only way we're going to figure out who that champion is was the big old tournament, tournament.
Wait, hold on. I think the cosmic gobbledygook does need to be refined a little bit here. Darkseid is reborn,
right,
in another universe, which is the Absolute universe, and in that universe, Apocalypse itself has a heart of Omega. Omega being the opposite of the Alpha. It's the negative conquering energy.
Yeah.
And when he is reborn, I don't know how it works because they're in this Earth, but there is one of these Omega hearts in Earth. And so Darkseid, we know, in 1 week has already won. It's a fait accompli.
We've seen the future where he's giant again. He's bigger than the one in the vampire books.
Go with it. He's Galactus. Great. And that is when it is presented that, well, somebody says, well, hold on a minute. Why don't we become the champion? They say, oh, you can't do that unless you really want to conquer everybody. And I was like, wait a minute. So all of this is just leading up to a video game? This is just Street Fighter? And here's the thing. That concept is dumb.
Yeah.
And it is played out. However,
I'm with you.
I was like, you know what? If this is what it is, it's just goofy. Like, it's funny because they set this whole thing up, and I was like, it's going to be this whole other Final Crisis thing that's going to be completely indeterminate. You know, I'm not going to know what the hell's going on. And they're like, nope, player one, fight. And I was like, all right. And they all have to fight each other.
Yeah.
And whoever wins gets to be God and put everything back, so there's no consequences.
Right. So the person who wins will reshape reality. And so anyway, I had the same thought process. I was like, this might be dumb. And then once they got to the point where they went through the door to fight, and then there was all these different characters and the bad guys snuck in. I thought about that Avengers annual I talked about last week, and I thought, you know what? This would have fit right in 1987.
Yeah.
So this is like the definition of gosh.
And this was it was a really fun issue. I thought Scott wrote a great story, got everything in there. It was just short of being too much. It was the right amount. And then Javi Fernandez and Shamanico, killing it. Like it was it felt like an event book, or at least like a kickoff. I mean, it literally is.
And it's melodramatic, but that's fine. That's where Scott Snyder's been living. And I was like, well, who cares? Like, get off your
it's fun
high horse. It's fun. And the only negative criticism I have is that at one point Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, and Diana are playing a board game of themselves, and then they showed the board game, and those pieces don't fit the board. They're like, they got to do a better job of designing these board games. Like, this is a bad board game design. But other than that, I got to the end and I was like, you know what? Fine, whatever. Let's have a big old brawl. Let's decide who the champion of Earth is, and why not?
Like, don't try to be cool. Just go. All right, they're all going to fight each other.
It was fun.
What do I expect out of a Superman book?
Batman dies. He's not even in the final grouping, although somehow he is.
Yeah, and the thing was just like
Batman's in the brackets,
right?
But in the book, he dies and doesn't make it into the final group. Like, he's not in this shot of all the characters.
And how fun is it to look at that shot of all the characters?
Right, and it's like, what's the first thing you do in a story like this? You kill Batman.
You have to,
because then he's no longer like he's gonna win.
You know what was better though? Killing Billy Batson. Just step on that fool. It was great.
And because the world's gonna be remade at the end, doesn't matter. All this is.
Well, maybe they can call him Captain Marvel again.
Well, we're gonna get to that later. Actually, in the after show, we're gonna get to that.
When they say the Captain, I want to strangle a fool.
It's better than saying Shazam. It is.
I don't like either of them.
No, I don't either.
And I fully understand why you don't want to call your DC character Captain Marvel, but it's been long enough now that anybody still reading knows that that's Captain Marvel anyway.
We're gonna have this exact conversation in the after show.
Okay.
Where are we now? But we're gonna actually, Josh and I will have the conversation while we're on break, and then we'll be back in a second right after this. Marvel Knights, The Punisher #1 from Jimmy Palmiotti and Dan Panosian. The other Marvel Knights book came out this week, which is still a very weird book that I don't fully understand. But I was very happy. I don't know what the hell's going on with these Marvel Knights books, but whatever, because I really liked this issue, and Dan Panosian is so awesome.
So I saw it and I went, I don't really love the Punisher. And if I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't like saying this, Jimmy Palmiotti's work has not been my favorite lately. Sometimes seems a little anachronistic, and I know that him and Panosian work together, but I was like, I don't know if I'm really going to want to read this. And I literally flipped to the very first page of art, and I was like, fuck yes. That shot of Frank Castle from Panosian, I was like, right away, I was like, this is so good. and it stayed that way. I thought, and it was a very Jimmy Palmiotti book, and I just went with it, and I had fun. Like, it was, I was gonna, like, it's sexy, but in a kind of a way that we don't do anymore. If that makes sense.
That's Palmiotti's whole thing.
Yeah. But I didn't read Punisher and Marvel Knights. I don't think. Right. I guess I read some of Garth Ennis's run.
The first was
Marvel Knights.
The first Marvel Knights was the Angel one,
right? Which was bad.
Yeah,
Christopher Priest.
And then it was Ennis and Dylan after that.
Right. Yeah. But this isn't that, I don't think.
No. Who knows? I don't know what's going on.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of a new Punisher who isn't the new Punisher. He's older here. You're still doing that 25 years before the world that will be, or whatever it is.
Right, so whatever that means.
That's happening. And It doesn't bother me. Like, we'll work towards something when it comes there. It's sort of making sense in the other book and sort of not. And I think that's fun. I'm trusting the creators, just great fighting scenes with.
I mean, this page here with the
Mhm.
one page of this character, like
Mhm.
these faces don't get drawn in other books. Like no
Yeah.
one draws like this. And Frank Castle even kind of looks a bit like the Franken Castle. Like
Yeah.
in some sequence, this is an old Frank Castle. He's got gray hair, and in some sequences looks like the Frankenstein version. I'm not sure what's going on here. A lot of people get killed. At one point, a whole family gets machine gunned. I was a little surprised they did. But
Yeah. And I was like, where were those people? What did they do wrong?
But this was mostly just an artistic tour de force because Penosian was a big deal when he was in his younger days, and then he went off and did what all those big deal artists do, and then
See,
live
I
off
feel like
commissions and other things. And then now he's back, and he's occasionally doing work. The last sequential thing I think we saw him was that Darwin Cook thing.
he's done a couple of Image. He did like a Western kind of thing at Dark Horse, just him.
Oh right, that was him and Scott Snyder.
Maybe he did one
Yeah.
all on his own that was from Image, I think.
Like this is very Franken-Castle drawing here.
The thing is, like, I don't actually remember Penosian being in mainstream comics. He was an artist I knew just from like Twitter and just like seeing his art, but not really seeing much sequential from him. So when he did a sequential book, well, it always has been. It's like, oh, that's a special thing. I gotta check it out, even if it's not my favorite book. It's just worth looking at. And he's one of those guys who's very underrated, underappreciated, I think, because he doesn't show up enough. And I think he's like a pros know, and like, super fans, but super talented, but also in like a way that's like it's a little Eduardo Riso, it's a lot of Frank Miller, it's there's some Darwin in there. It's classic and modern all at the same time.
Yeah. He was he did a lot of backups, and he was the inker on X-Men, then he went to Image. So he was like an early Image guy.
Oh wow. Is that old?
He submitted his first submission to Marvel at age 14.
Okay, that makes more sense.
In 1983.
It's this effortless, gorgeous art. And when I say effortless, it looks effortless. It flows. It's smooth. It doesn't look like it's overly labored. It just feels natural.
Yes. And there's beautiful color to it. He does the colors too, and it's just a fully formed. Fully formed stuff.
A lot of that textural stuff. There's dot pitch all over the place. When you find his actual lines and you focus on them, you'll see like they're brush strokes. And I don't know if he does it digitally or just, but you can like. You don't see the lines until you just look at it for a second and focus, and you're like, you can see the lines that it is made up of, if that makes sense. And I always love that, but it's also just it's got energy to it. It's got motion. It's loose, but perfect. That loose but perfect is kind of one of the things I've always loved. Somni's like that.
Yeah.
Loose but perfect.
I don't know if I would have read this if not for his art. I don't know. I think I'm very curious what the hell is going on with these Marvel Knights books. So I probably would have checked it out, but
maybe
once I saw his name, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to pick it up.
But this one, like whatever it is that's going on, it's hinted at in here, but it has nothing like it. This seems to be something you could read all on its own, and it's not a.
Oh, this is totally
You have to have read something. All you need to know in this one is that Punisher seems older.
Right.
Period. Like he's Punisher, and it was great. I really dug this. It was a treat.
Not Marvel. The Avengers 797 or 31. This is Jed McKay and Javier Pina joining for this issue. I love his artwork so much. This is a Kang issue. So in the last issue, we had to reveal that the Murden character, who was sounds like a lot like Merlin, was in fact Kang, as we all knew he was. And so
he is Merlin. It is supposed to be like Merlin because they're the fake knights,
right? And so here we get the whole backstory of Kang, how and why he became Murden, and lots of references to books I don't remember reading at all from years ago.
Which I did read.
I read them. I read all these comics.
Everything they referred to.
Yeah.
But do you remember that first issue what was it, like Kang the Conqueror or whatever that Jed McKay did forever ago. Maybe it was even with Javier Pina, but we both read it and we're like, whoa, where'd this come from? This was awesome. And then the story didn't, like, that was years ago.
I know.
And he kind of would flit in and out of the Avengers book. Like, it was like the event they were like, we'll get to it. It's.
I mean, I thought this was great. I love this. I mean, anytime you get Kang hanging out in London with Shakespeare, went into play Prospero and bullying Shakespeare into letting him play Prospero as a villain, was awesome. And then, we're marks for this, but this is like a Kang tour de force where we see, how the ennui drives Kang throughout the millennia to form this anti-Avengers team. And I don't really think the anti-Avengers team was that fun, but
No,
the backstory to it was a lot of fun. And
it seems like it would be fun, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. The designs aren't great for the characters. They're just so uninteresting.
Yeah, that's true. I think the thing here that's interesting is that if Jed McKay was only going to be a Kang specialist, I think we'd all be fine with it. Like,
Totally.
he can do that. Because one thing that he's doing here, he's actually fleshing out the character in a way that they can either keep or leave, depending on what they do going forward. But he is fleshing out the character in a way that makes him make more sense. But it isn't softening him or taking anything away or just feeling like they're giving us too much. He's still Kang. It's just like, this is what Kang does on his days off when he's a little like unsure of himself. He goes to a bar, and he drinks and he thinks about what it is. And then you're like, oh, well, maybe he's a little normal. And then he kills everyone in the bar. He didn't say that part, but he did it. Yeah.
I would be, one of my problems with the Avengers book is that, the art's not that great, and I wish they had a caliber of artist like Javier Pina on the book all the time, because he's just terrific. He does some really, it's almost got a bit of Daniel Cunha in the coloring from Federico Blee. Like it's almost looked like a charcoal, but
he's really also got a little bit of that Alan Davis smoothness.
Yeah,
in it. Like, it's not like. It reminds me. That's what it reminds me of. Is like Alan Davis, but sort of for the modern world. It's a little soft. It's almost like it's rubbed charcoal or something like that.
Yeah, it's nice. And I had two other thoughts. One was, I love the idea that Kang kept losing to Murden, and so eventually he was like, "Well, he can only be me." Like. How else am I losing? Like, that was so Kang. And then the other one was, he's all mad at the fake Avengers he created, and he says, "I do not understand. I built all of you to be heroes, imbued with your various fantastic abilities and ancient artifacts, set you up in absurd love triangles and melodramas. In short, I recreated the Avengers in you." And that's really what's been missing. Like, when's the last time there was a love triangle on the Avengers? When's the last time there was an absurd melodrama? They don't do that kind of storytelling anymore. And that used to be a hallmark of these books. Like, you had the Vision, and you had Wanda, and you had Bobby, and you had Clint, and you had all these characters who were falling in love, and there
was a little of that anymore. There was a little of that in Jason Aaron's run.
A little bit. There was.
Thor and She-Hulk had a little thing, but like, you're right, that the soap opera has, I think, and this is almost 30 years ago now, but I think that there was a misunderstanding when Grant Morrison did his Justice League 7 Gods thing, and it was and then Warren Ellis went and took that to the next level of, no, this is all action all the time, crazy. And not everyone else is Warren Ellis and Grant Morrison. And so every scene is, the world is going to end. We are on our way. None of that goofy shit is left in here.
Every book is tries to be like the Authority now, right? Like, they're all
this will be the story that ends it all. And you're right. I mean, it's a great point. There hasn't been much.
I mean, it's in the dialogue. Jed McKay must know that this is what used to be the hallmark of the Avengers, and it's just not in there anymore. And it's so interesting, and it's spelled out right here. I mean, I read this page and I literally stopped and thought, when was the last time there was a love triangle in the Avengers? Because they're all these major heavy hitter characters, and they all have their own lives and own books that they headline. And you don't have the smaller characters like at the time, like a Vision of Scarlet Witch and Wonder Man, right? That was the love triangle, right? That was the and that was fun. And then like Hawkeye falling in love with Bobby or with Natasha, and like that was part of the fun. In addition to fighting Doctor Doom or whoever, was that they also had these other issues going on, and then there's no more melodrama. Is what I'm saying.
There isn't, and you make another good point. Is like I think when I was a kid, this is how it used to be. And I know what that sounds like. I'm fully aware
That's
of
true.
what that sounds like. But one of the things that attracted me to a book like this was that I see Captain America and Iron Man, but who's that other guy?
Right.
They don't have who's that other guys. And you and I will make fun of triathlon until the day we die. But we need a triathlon, even if they're not always successful. We need the Gilgamesh, the bull guy.
Starfire, Star Fox, and
D-Man. There,
Dr. Druid.
Yeah, there has to be some weird shit in here, and there's not. Again, Jason Aaron did that. He put some weird shit in there. A Detective Chimp on the team. He, but okay, the Avengers movie came out 14 years ago.
Right.
You don't need to necessarily have those same people on the team all the time from those movies now.
Right.
I don't think it's going to make a difference in how the needle moves on the book. Have some fun with it.
It's true. He had a Ghost Rider and a bunch of characters towards the end, but it still was lacking that sort of the melodrama. They don't make these books as melodramas anymore. They make them as serious, like world-ending dramas. And
I don't know if there
was a tiny bit of that in that arc where they went to the space station, the Jed McKay arc, where they went and they did the heist issue. There's a tiny bit of that had the old Marvel feel to it.
I mean, actually, I really like the space station. I think that's the best new character in this. That could be used a lot more. Again, that's a Warren Ellis crib.
But it is also like when they're on Earth, they can leave and they can go do things on their and like it just feels more. I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it. I just thought it was interesting that it was spelled out in the book itself that like I gave you these things. Like, well, you haven't given us these things. It's been a long time since they've been.
It feels like maybe there's a directive from on high, or maybe it's
totally.
just become it's become like an ingrown habit. Is that you have to have Iron Man, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther on the Avengers, and you don't.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see a sales hit if you change some of these out. I don't see that happening in today's market.
I'm looking at the cover here, and so everybody but Storm, is from the movies.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of Iron Man. Actually, I liked him in that weird, wacky book that wasn't very good because it was like he was trying to push away from what it has been. But Iron Man and the Avengers, man, it's enough. It's enough. I've had enough. You've done everything you can with him for 20 years now. Like, we're good. Like,
Josh
take
said
a break.
enough. Josh's going to take a break and just think about what he just said, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, we're back with Death to Pachuco. Did you read Death to Pachuco from?
I hadn't, but I did just before we started because I had meant to, and then I was going to not read it. Then it was on the list with you, so I quickly went through it.
So this is from Image and Top Cow Production, surprisingly enough. Written by Henry Baraha and art by Rachel Merrill, and this is a straight up history book about the Zoot Suit riots that happened in June of 1943 in Los Angeles, when a bunch of sailors and servicemen attacked Mexicans and Mexican Americans.
I'm not using that song.
Don't.
Not gonna.
I was surprised as hell to see just a straight up historical crime comic from Image and Top Cow about this. I mean, it's a very prescient time, story for now, but yeah, I didn't think this was great. I thought the art was very inconsistent and times didn't serve the story all that well, but I was really impressed to see the book, and I thought it was, as the first issue, it was interesting, and there was enough here. The main character, I thought, he's the PI. The art wasn't consistent enough. I just was losing track of who was who a lot.
It made him look like a woman a bunch of times, and I don't mean that in a bad way, like he shouldn't, but like it didn't make sense who he was when he wasn't in his suit. And did he have a mustache or wispy mustache? And then he didn't.
It's the downside of the book is I think the art wasn't quite professional.
I really liked
had a feel to it.
The first couple of pages where it was done with all these lines, that reminds me of somebody very specific who I cannot remember and put my fingers on. It's almost like a very, very minimalist Klaus Janson kind of thing going on. And then that went away after the beginning. I guess those lines were supposed to be like it was dark.
Right.
I mean, the other problem for me is that I'm going to try not to sound awful, but I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And I I could get most of the Spanish. I know
Yep.
enough of other I know of other languages than this that I kind of had it, but it very so what would happen is there would be English and then there would be almost every panel there'd be English and then a Spanish phrase and then English, and you could get it from the context, or if you know like a little you could sort of translate
Right.
and see where they are, but it created a pacing problem. And so listen, I'm going to go ahead and throw my favorite book in the world under the bus on this one. I hated reading Arseface in Preacher because every panel that he said something, you had to slow down. Eventually, they had subtitles for Arseface. I just read the subtitle immediately and didn't try to parse it out because it took too long.
Yeah, you've never liked phonetic stuff in the comics. Not that Spanish is phonetic.
I don't. Yeah.
So, I mean, the impetus for the riot was that, as it says at the beginning of the book, that the government needed all the wool for the war, and so they asked people to stop wearing wool suits, and the suits were wool. They structurally couldn't be made out of silk because they were very structured suits. And so the excuse for the riot was the servicemen were attacking guys who were flaunting their wool suits, when in reality it's probably because they were Mexican. But I thought this was interesting enough. I'll probably finish it out. It's probably going to be a short mini. I don't think the art's professional level, but I'm just glad they're doing it. I want to support the idea that they're doing these sort of non-traditional books at Image and Top Cow for sure.
I wanted it
to be better. I wanted it to be better, but it wasn't terrible.
No,
but it wasn't great. But if you're at all interested or know anything or know nothing about what happened, then maybe check it out.
If you want to think of it,
fucked up.
Vaguely in the era of like the Perry Mason show that was just on HBO.
Yeah.
It's sort of that.
Yeah, this was right before. When did we enter the war? Well, no,
this is 42, so this is during
43.
the war.
The riot's in 43.
Right. Well, okay, then this is 43.
Yeah.
So like we're in
we're in the war. Yeah, it says June 43.
We're in Japan and we're in Africa and Italy, but not
there were it was bad. It was a bad situation. Let's move on to Transformers 25, the first new issue from the new creative team. Robert Kirkman, Dan Mora. Surprised to see Jorge Corona still on the book.
I'd take a little more.
Drew half the book. I'm wondering if this is how Dan Mora draws this book as well, as that he's going to split time with Jorge Corona. I wonder if that's what's going to happen going forward, or if it's just a handoff issue. We'll see you next issue, I guess. What'd you think?
I have to get used to the change. I think to a certain extent. I've been really very much in love with what Daniel Warren Johnson did in art, and then how Jorge Corona took that. And so we switch over to the Dan Mora stuff, and I was like, oh, it's a little smooth for me. Like I really had to make an adjustment because I had really liked it. And even compared to like, remember like in the old days, like Pat Lee had done it and it all looked like it was like done on a computer before anybody had drawing programs. It's not that, but it felt like it going from one to the other. So, and then it did feel different instantly. Like it had that really weird but funny scene in the beginning where Megatron basically just dresses down everyone.
And it was one really after another.
There's a double page spread. He's like, Ravage, you suck now. Swindle, look at you. You suck. It was like,
it was funny.
Yeah, this served no narrative purpose whatsoever, but I was like, I think they're having fun with this. So I enjoyed it, but it is different, and I'm gonna have to make an adjustment. But it felt like, oh, the story is moving forward. I'm not fully on board with having the characters of Mask in here. I was like, I don't know if we need that.
Well, we had them in G.I. Joe.
I know, and it was really funny, like that one bit, but like adding that element to this story, which frankly seems like it has enough, to go forward.
Kirkman's going all in. Just wait for the movie that's got them all. I liked a lot about it. I love the Dan Mora, surprisingly. One of the things I had a problem with in the previous issues, and as great as it looked, was that it could be very confusing at times.
Sure.
And who you were looking at and what Transformer, but I thought this was pretty clean.
He did great. He did a couple of transforming shots really good.
Yeah.
Where Optimus Prime was either, transforming out or transforming in the middle. And I was like, they didn't do that much of that before. That's fun.
And he also, weren't there some fight stuff where he kind of, when Soundwave and Optimus Prime are fighting, he still goes for the wrestling moves style of fighting that Daniel Warren Johnson set up in the first one.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that the Autobots left behind in Cybertron have become sort of like radicalized.
Mm-hmm.
That Optimus Prime wasn't going far enough, and so they're becoming like the hard line Autobots, and they reject Optimus Prime's leadership, and so that adds another element to it. Now there's this like third faction of Transformers, which is interesting. I don't know. I mean, I've always been on the edge with this book anyway, not really knowing a lot about the Transformers. So I still enjoyed this. And I thought, if we're going to see the Cobra Law characters, we're going to have masked characters. We're going to, just go for it, I guess. Now they've got a bunch of Energon, so they can heal and we can get beyond that storyline of them constantly being broken.
The 24 issues.
Of them being like, I'm falling apart without any.
We've only got this much time. The other thing I will give Robert Kirkman credit for, and I don't think that Johnson like screwed this up or anything, but when Prime talks in this, like I'm like, I hear Prime. Yeah, 100%. When Soundwave was in it, I was like he did Soundwave like the cartoon exactly, and Dan didn't do that, so it was fun.
Good cover.
Yep.
Farmhand 26, the final issue.
Final issue, Farmhand number 26. I checked. I had Rob on the show either right before this book was about to come out or right when it did, and my last message with him was in 2018. And so, 26 years, that's a long time. It's through the middle of the pandemic. But I have to give him a ton of respect for finishing it, for seeing it all the way through.
There's a graveyard of comics, especially from Image, especially from that Image boom, where they just never finished. And, he had a long delay, but he came back and he did it. Him and Jean-Francois Beaulieu and Cody Chamberlain were on all the way through, I think. And they did it. It may have really hurt the narrative drive.
Well, I mean, the thing I think was interesting, though, is that he did right the ship to a certain extent. So there was that one issue where, like, what the fuck is going on? And after that, it kind of steadied, and I could tell where we were. I thought this was a really nice coda. I think that it's very clear that what the book started as wasn't necessarily what the book became.
I mean, he said that in the essay at the end. Like, he changed a lot from what he started it as.
And, he from the beginning, he said it's very personal, and it felt that way. I mean, it's not like Rob is he mentions his Christianity, and that's the thing I've always sort of known about him, and there's an element of that in this, but in a way that isn't cloying or like it makes sense. In the best way that it can. I think originally it was a weird idea to see this guy who we really only knew from Chew, which was silly. And there was lots of silliness all throughout it. And there was a little bit of that in here, but it didn't
Especially
work.
It was more in the early days when I think he was coming. I can distinctly remember pulling panels or best-thinking panels from the early days of Farmhand. And it was very much like the ethos of Chew was kind of spilling over. And I think that's what the book changed away from that as it went along. It became more serious.
And I remember specifically talking to him about the idea that, like, it'd be difficult for him to do a lot of mainstream books because it's just not what people see. He's a great comic book artist, but he's not a Spider-Man artist necessarily, or at least according to the market or the editors. But I think that this showed that he can draw in his style, and he can do action, and he can do drama, and it's going to work. I enjoyed it. It was a good coda. It was a good ending. I think.
This was an epilogue issue. The climax was last issue 25, and this was, the follow the characters after all the action is complete and where they go in their lives.
And he left you with a little something at the end. I thought it worked.
Classic storytelling.
Yep.
I'm happy they finished it. I'm really happy about it.
That's right. You know what else I'm happy about? That this is a listener-supported endeavor we do right here. You can go to patreon.com/iFanboy. You can directly support the show. You can become part of this community of historically wonderful people. Sometimes we watch Pop Culture Jeopardy, and I'll see people, I go, that guy looks like one of our listeners. I think that a lot.
Maybe they are.
Like, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
You can directly support the show, become part of that. Like I said, you can get a patron power live on the show. You could vote. You can vote on the Patron Pick. You can become a part. You can go to Discord and Facebook, where there are great discussion communities, and she's just good folks all around. I read these people like just being kind to one another. And it really it's very
wonderful.
heartening, especially in the place we are right now collectively. There's a monthly patron hangout where you can watch the show live. If you can't make the live shows and you're like, oh, that's not worth it, you can still watch those. It's still exclusive to you. As a patron at $10 or higher, you'll get an ad-free version of this show, all the shows. And you'll get the pick of the week, this show, a day early on Saturday, as early as we can make it. Plus, you will get access to the iFanboy After Show on Sundays, where we will talk about all the books that we read this week that we're not talking about on the main show. There's a discount if you sign up for 1 full year, and you can also send or receive gift memberships at patreon.com/ifanboy/gift. That's how you would find out about that. It's been happening. iFanboy.threadless.com is our merch store. There are 23 designs that can be put on all sorts of items, from t-shirts to sweatshirts to tank tops to 3/4 length shirts to any other kind of shirt you can think of. Plus,
old school 80s cutoff, like
many,
just a little bit of belly.
You can make that. Yeah, but you don't want to cut off the bottom of Clint's face. But maybe you do. He's dead, as you know.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. iFanboy.threadless.com. That was that. iFanboy.com/support is our direct donation link. There's a PayPal link there if you would like to support the show in that way. iFanboy.com/Amazon is a general shopping link. It's an affiliate link. You can buy, if you're going to buy stuff from Amazon, you go through that. That helps us out. Costs you nothing. It just helps us. Finally, bookshop.org is an organization from which we believe in. So when it is appropriate, we will put links on the website to buy books that we're talking about through there. That aggregates local bookstores, and you would order from them, which would be a good thing too. Let's get back to the main
comics
program.
So, as you recall, Batman: The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, the stupidest named comics number, is a series that's a sequel to Batman: The Long Halloween, and I've been reading it. Not because of the story, because I've lost total track of the story, but because in a tribute to Tim Sale, it's been an artistic tour de force. They've been bringing in some heavy hitters to do the issues art. It's a different artist every issue. Issue 9 features art from Chris Samnee, which I was very surprised to see because he's also doing another Batman book right now. But what's really interesting, and it's shocker, spoiler alert, awesome, looks gorgeous. But what's interesting about it is that he's doing Batman Year One, which features the first Batman and Robin Year One, which is the first year of basically Robin. And in this book is an early version of Robin, which, number one, all the artists have drawn him in different costumes. Samnee, being the fucking pro he is, draws him in the proper, accurate Robin costume. But interestingly enough, do you remember how Tim Sale used to draw Robin, like a really tiny kid?
Kinda, yeah.
And so this Robin looks nothing like the Robin in the other book. He looks like a tiny kid.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he does it in the Tim Sale style.
Are all the covers from the book in with
all the
Tim
covers
Sale?
are Tim Sale drawings. I don't know where they're just
right.
Like archive pieces.
Sure.
But so that's one thing. Number two, this has been brought up before in other Batman comics, but here they really spell it out that Catwoman is the daughter of the Falcones. She's a Falcone, and which would mean she's 100% Sicilian, which is interesting because in her Catwoman All In book from Joelle Jones, they established she was half Irish, half Cuban. So who knows? Who knows what's going on? Nothing makes sense. Nothing matters. There's a T-shirt for it. But here there's a big dramatic scene where it's revealed that she's a Falcone. She's a lost Falcone daughter, and there's a big situation there. Anyway,
is this supposed to be canon?
Dude. I don't know.
I'm guessing not.
I don't know. It's fine. It's just gorgeous. I don't even care about the story, if I'm being honest with you. The cover art is from 2010. But this is just even worth looking through just to see the Samnee work, which
just that little bit awesome. You just showed me. I was like, ooh,
it's awesome. Let's talk about Red Book #1 from James Tinney and McForthin and Michael Avon Oming from Image and Tiny Onion. I read this.
You did read this? Good.
I did.
Blue Book was the series that they did before, which was it's almost like a documentary. It's like a
about
Learning
UFOs,
Channel comic book documentary that was about sort of the gray aliens. This book, the Red Book, is dealing more with stuff from the same era. So you want to think Cold War era that happened in the Soviet Union and around, because all of that information was completely classified and hidden, as the Soviets will do, but also as Americans did, until Glasnost happened, and there was a brief window before the current oligarchy took over. We just got banned from Russia. Sorry, everyone. where like records are being released. And so here's is Tinian and Oming again sort of exploring this history of possibly true, possibly not true, but documented extraterrestrial activity and encounters. In most of this, the aliens in question look like the gray men, but they are under the water in like the world's
Right.
deepest lake, Lake Baikal. And there's then they go through all these different types of stories and interactions with encounters that may or may not have been linked and people who were notable. Like, and this is real. Like he's not making this up. These are things.
Yeah, no,
that
there's
are
two.
done.
There's two events here that he's looking at from the 50s. I knew about both of them. I mean, I think a lot of people heard of the Tunguska event. That was that's the asteroid that starts off the book,
Right?
but then there's another one which I knew about. I don't know if you'd ever heard about, but it's
No.
the event where all the students were found dead all naked, not naked or undressed in the snow.
It's like
And
the season of True Detective.
Right, exactly. And that was a real event that is supposedly unsolved, but basically everyone thinks it was an avalanche. But basically that seems to be the consensus. But it was interesting to see. But then like it goes off into like very sci-fi. Like there's aliens and there's a dude with like superpowers and.
Well, that was the story of this one guy who was sort of a respected person, and then he went further and further afield as he kept going, and said that like he had an encounter with Orthon, who's like Apollo from
right.
from the Authority. The fact
I
is,
like this though.
This is a format that almost never gets done. Certainly not from one of the main 5-6 publishers.
Yep.
I think Tinian, the fact that he is a person who has enough power and interest to get this done is awesome. I think Oming did a fantastic job.
Great Oming, yeah.
With the material, but also not just like the art or whatever, but like he had to make this thing. He had to make this work in comic book sequential form, and I think he did great. The coloring was great. Also, like it's all very simple in the reds and blues, whites and blacks.
Yeah.
The fact that this book exists, I think, is just a treat.
And the cover's awesome. It's this reflection of this alien in the face of Stalin. So the alien has a mustache.
Yeah.
And then
that is.
The uniform fits both of them. It's a really good drawing when you think about it.
I think Oming is another guy who's underrated because his genius, maybe that's too much, but his real talent is not necessarily very obvious on the art. It's not necessarily this is exactly what you're saying though. Is it's like you can look at it and like, oh, this art is nice. I understand it. But then as you keep going, you're like, Frank, this is thoughtful. This is inventive. There's just looking through it is great. It's great work.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I read it. This is not from Image as I put in the screen.
Dark Horse.
Dark Horse. Yeah, that was my mistake. So those books we're going to talk about, but at patreon.com/iFanboy, every patron gets a vote to add a book to the rundown. This week, the winner by 2 votes was Conan the Barbarian, number 25 from Jim Zub, Alex Horley, Richard Starkings, Tyler Smith from Titan Comics. Josh and I have been reading Savage Sword of Conan from Titan, the oversized anthology magazine. We have not
black and white.
We have not been reading the Conan the Barbarian comic. Although the last issue tied into this series. Was it this series it tied into?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Although this didn't seem to. So
No, not this issue, but this series.
I know. It seems like they're starting an event. I forget what it's called.
This was like a anniversary issue one-shot story, I felt like. So not having read it before, I don't know if Alex Horley has been fully painting. I would not imagine he is.
I don't think.
Fully painting the comic, but he fully paints
someone good. I don't remember the name, but the artist has been not this.
So here we are,
Roberto Della Torre, I think.
Because I assume the regular book he's regular young Conan. Here that we jump to the future, back into the King Conan time, and he is on the throne. A mysterious stranger shows up and says, "I have a gift for you, but I can only give it to you after 3 days and 3 nights of hospitality." And so Conan lets him move into the castle despite the misgivings of everybody else in the castle. He's a creepy dude who doesn't want to eat, drink, or have sex with anybody. And he's pale. And so after 3 days, 3 nights, he reveals to Conan a challenge of some sort through the ages. So Conan has to fight through all his ages he's been, like young thief Conan, barbarian Conan, like all the
I'm
different
curious
ages
what
we've
you
seen.
made of this, because
Yeah,
I think
I
I
started
figured it out.
you've read a lot more Conan comics than I have, so I'm sure you're right. And then when it's over, he become the stranger who's defeated. He becomes the chronicler, so he starts writing the opening. That's the open of every Conan
Yeah.
comic.
So the gift is what I
you're
the
probably
gift
no, I don't know.
the gift seems to be that he is giving voice to Conan's legend. So the words that you read in the Robert E. Howard book and all this stuff, these exist because whoever this force is, it has, turned him into legend. It's Beowulf or whichever. And so, but the thing is this, I have recently developed or honed a new pet peeve. And it's writers writing about writing.
Well, they love that though.
This is a far-flung one, but at the same, I was like, this is mostly about a storyteller and how important they are, and I'm tired of it.
What drove you to that?
It's been a bunch of things, but recently, you familiar with the Apple show Smoke?
No.
Smoke is it's a mini series with what's his name? Eddie the Eagle, the actor that Elton John.
Yeah.
And it's Dennis Lehane, who is one of my favorite. I've read many Dennis Lehane books, and there's an element to it where like one of the characters is like, I'm going to be a writer. And it's very, 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 very similar to that book that we just read from, is it Tyler Boss?
Taron Egerton.
Is it Tyler, the
Tyler
artist? Boss. Yeah, Tyler Boss, where he had the horror writer, and the horror writer was writing this. It's
and everything came true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I between those couple of things, I was like, I want
Hollywood loves movies about Hollywood. Writers love to write about writers and how important and cool they are. And that's just the way I totally understand, but that's just the way.
And I think so that rubbed me the wrong way. I think what's funny is that I listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I read off Jim Zub. Because I remember when he came out, when he started, he had this like D&D Barbarian book. I forget what it was called. And I was like, that looks great. And we interviewed him on the show, and I read the book for a few issues, and I was just bored. I was like, whatever it is, it doesn't have it for me. And it's kind of been my experience with everything. I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, oh, he's bad. He's been working. He's been getting stuff done. But just, I don't connect with it in any way. So when he came over to this, and this is following Jason Aaron and Mahmoud Asrar doing just a gorgeous run, I gave it a couple issues, but I was like, this is the same feeling I always get. So I stopped. And, we read The Savage Sword of Conan, and that was this awesome anthology book. And then in the last issue, they went and they put like a precursor to Jim Zub's like Conan event that's going, and it was boring. And something about it, like it doesn't zing for me the same way. I can't tell you what he's doing wrong or different.
This was the book I mentioned earlier. There's too many words.
There was too many words.
And I'm not a person that thinks there should be a number of words. I think the quality of the words, so I think it was too many kind of plotting words.
Useless words.
There was a lot. I started editing in my head and skipping words and dialogue or balloons because I was like, I don't need any of this. It was a hard read. It was
but
the Alex Horley work was really gorgeous. I really liked looking at the pages, and I thought it was really impressive if he did in fact paint this entire book, whether on computer or by hand, or it's all by hand, Connor.
But what I was thinking though is
that into it.
But the first bit, when the stranger shows up and he's got to wait there, and we're all waiting to see what's going to happen. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give him credit. I'm really into this. And then the thing happened, and it was like, oh, we're just going through all like this heightened high-speed version of all of Conan's life and adventures,
which is fine.
Yeah, and to me, I was like, that's not a story. It wasn't a story. There wasn't a beginning, middle, and end. It was about the legend of Conan and how storytelling is the important thing that gets that to happen. And like, there was a time in my life where I wanted to know where the writer was coming from and feel a connection. You and I were here. We were on this earth at the beginning of the postmodern, self-aware movie and TV era, and we were seeing ourselves reflected in that and really enjoyed it. As I got older, I was like, all right, I don't need that anymore. That's not helping me. Everybody's talking about themselves and how they're telling a story. And well, I don't think that Zub was necessarily talking about himself. It wasn't a story. I was waiting for this like cool thing to happen with this guy and who he was going to be and what the twist would be and what the unexpected thing was. And it didn't pay off. It did not deliver. And I thought that sucked.
Yeah, I like looking at it, and it was fine. I liked the beginning was really like, oh shit, like what is what's going to be the reveal here?
Great act 1.
I just was like, I was sort of just getting through the rest of the issue. Like once the fighting started, I even stopped reading the dialogue. Like, I don't need to.
Yeah,
because these pages don't need dialogue.
It was also just a recap of like Conan's life, and I was like, I've read these, you know, and also like Conan is one of those things. Like, I don't want a continuity. I don't want it to make sense. I don't need to know the timeline. It's like, and it was funny because I was about to say like Usagi Yojimbo, which I now know totally has a continuity and timeline, but it doesn't read like that. And Hellboy is another one. Hellboy jumps all over the place, and like the sum of all those things adds up to way more than any person could do in their actual life. But Conan's like that. And it just like it went from like a sequential, interesting narrative story to a montage. And I was like,
and that's kind of what, if you're reading along in the book and you hit an anniversary issue, that's kind of what happens. But as a one-time read, it was whatever.
It wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad. I really like that Savage Sword of Conan anthology, and
now they're going to colorize it.
Are they?
That was what like they're relaunching. It's like Savage Sword of Conan Reforged, and I don't know if this is it going forward, but and it was like, you know, you've seen these in black and white, but now you'll see them energized in color. And I was like, no one asked for this. You know, that's the point of this book. That was the thing that you and I loved about it. I was like, oh, this is like the 70s. You know, just doing it.
So what is your rating on Conan the Barbarian 25 then?
2.6.
2.6.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It just and listen, it's funny because I kind of expected not to like it, but I wanted to like it. You know, I didn't want to be like, see, I was right. I didn't like it. I wanted very much to like it. I wanted to have my expectations challenged, but it didn't happen.
I'm giving it 3.5. I thought it was beautiful. It reminded me a lot of like the early 80s fantasy art. Or guys like Earl Norm, and I found myself looking at the art more than the
Boris Vallejo
than reading the story. And the first act was pretty great. So 3.5. Sticking with, well, would you have read this otherwise? No, I would not have read this otherwise. No. Patron Pick. And then
finally, you know what though? I was actually because I had been eschewing it. I've been like, I don't want to. I know I'm not gonna like that. And I was actually like, you know what? This is an excuse for me to go and give it a shot again, and I want it to surprise me.
Sticking with it? No. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Thanks for voting. If you're a patron, every patron can vote. Voting opens on Wednesday morning. It closes on Thursday afternoon. Get in there, get your vote in. Every vote counts. But if you're a patron at the $5 or higher level, you get a superpower live on the show. The superpower is bestowed to you this week by Josh Flanagan.
Todd.
The
mononomial Todd. What is it called when you only have the? What's the one? What's share? Like, there's a word for that. Prince. I don't need to wait while you look it up, but there's a word for that. It's not. I mean, I think mononomial works. I feel like you can't tell me that's incorrect, but we have just Todd here. Is it Todd Margaret?
Mononymous.
Mononymous. I like that. I think that might be right. Mononymous. Todd has an area of effect. So we'll call this a pheromone thing, right? If you're in the vicinity of Todd's pheromone things, your sleep has a triple powered effect. Your 1 hour of sleep is suddenly worth 3 hours of sleep. And
say it again. So for Todd or for other people around Todd?
Other people around him.
What about Todd? Is that Todd, the tragedy of Todd? He's always tired.
You know what? No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna say that works for him, but also others can. He has a personal triple area of sleep.
So he only needs to sleep about others. 2 or 3 hours. He only needs to sleep. He'll get the full night's sleep.
Yeah, he can do from the 3 to 6 shift is particularly tight.
That's pretty great. So like a nap, he could go down for like a 10-minute nap and be 30 minutes of sleep.
Right. So that's the deal though. Like it's just like regular. Like you don't want to sleep too much because you won't feel right. Like
no, totally.
Listen, as you know, I love a nap. They've almost been, for me, like a nap at some point in my 40s became a like, oh, I can do a half an hour. I can do 25 minutes here. This is going to make everything better. And it
Sure.
does. But if I don't like set an alarm and I sleep for an hour and a half in the middle of the day, besides the scheduling mess I have created for myself, I'm not waking up correctly and I'm not going to sleep that night. It's all about, so you got to keep that in mind.
Everything's a delicate balance in your 40s.
Yeah.
In my 20s, I could sleep for like 3 hours in the afternoon and still sleep for 12 hours in the evening.
Yeah. I didn't have to obey the clock.
Right. That's true, but like I could just do it. My body's still like, let's sleep. And now it's just like you took a nap and now you're screwed. So Todd can 3x everyone's sleep around him.
Mm-hmm.
How far does it reach?
I don't.
If Todd lives in an apartment building, does his upstairs and downstairs neighbor feel the effect of this?
I'm thinking it's people in the apartment.
Okay.
But like, say that it's an apartment. Say there's a wall, right? It's semi-permeable, right? It's not like if they're cooking chili over here, you're gonna know. You can smell it, right? So maybe they're getting like
about as far as odor goes. Smell?
Maybe they're getting like double sleep. I don't know. Like it's lessening as it goes out.
The people who dated,
I didn't do the math on this.
The people who dated Todd's roommates were like, God, every time I go over to Bob's house, the best sleep. And we're up all night having sex, and we sleep but it just feels so rested.
I have time to work out. I can do the yard work.
What if it's one of those things where you nod off for a second, so it's really nodding off for 3 seconds?
I guess so.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Todd, you're the best.
You know the thing? I love nodding off. But the problem with it is every time I've nodded off, I'm like, you can't do this right now. But you're like, just skimming the rim of sleep. That's amazing.
Patreon.com/iFanboy. Thanks, Todd, for being a patron. Appreciate you. You can be
skimming the rim of sleep, by the way. I got to write that down.
Book. Yeah. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Everyone should be a patron. This is the show. Thank you very much if you are. If not, that's fine too. You want to do an email? We should do an email. Right?
Yeah. We'll go with the first one here. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do. David E. of San Francisco, California says, who has, I don't know how to answer this, by the way. Just ahead of time, I was like, I don't know. Who has the better stable of artists right now, DC or Marvel? And if you could share maybe your top 2 or 3 artists for each publisher. I've been thinking about this question for about a year. I could use more specificity on that, David, if I'm going to
Fair enough. Years, fair enough. Shit, I wasn't thinking of it by publisher. I did see the email, so I thought, okay, well,
yeah,
I can knock off Dan Mora, Chris Somney, and
so you just named your winner.
Craig Smallwood, but doesn't really put work out at the moment. But
see, the tricky thing about this is who has a better stable of artists right now, because these guys aren't. There's not nearly as much exclusivity as they used to be.
No.
Even pre-pandemic, everybody was exclusive.
Hayden Sherman's great.
I mean,
I'm tempted to say DC, but I don't know if that's accurate, but I'm tempted to say it. But then you've got Dan Panosian, you've got Pepe Larraz, you've got Javier Pena. I'm trying to look through my library.
I'm going to say that right now, and this is more of a gut thing. I think DC has more interesting artists right now, whereas I think there are a lot of great artists in Marvel. Not great. There are a lot of really good, but they're not standing out to me in that same way. But you just named a bunch of people, and I can say Carmine Di Don Domenico.
Yep.
I can say like you said, Somni. Somni's there, so right away they got a big finger on the scale. I feel like there's a bunch.
Nick Dragotta.
Yeah, like the absolute line killing. You have
Hayden Sherman.
Nick Dragotta, who's on
Hayden Sherman, Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Dan
Moore. Then you've got Javi Fernandez, and you've got Jorge Jimenez on Batman.
Yep.
Bruno Redondo on Superman with Dan Moore. Like, I think right now the talent is at DC, but that doesn't mean Marvel's got bad artists. I just think there's more talent at DC that I like.
And talent is subjective, but like to me, there's talented artists all over the place. But whatever the fuck they're drinking in Spain right now, like Italy's where you go for pretty good artists, and Spain's where you go if you want to be like, wow, that's where we're at. And I think a lot of those who just did who did the Zatanna book?
Oh,
with
Javier Rodriguez.
Yeah, however, so he's been over there. I mean, Bruno Redondo wasn't even one I was thinking of, but he's killing it. You've got, who's on the DC Vampires?
Otto Schmidt.
Otto Schmidt killing it. I mean, I think
right now, and this is not a value judgment. I think right now there's a lot of great artists at DC doing interesting things. I think there's a lot of great artists at Marvel, but there's fewer of them. And you've got guys like Ryan Stegman who does an issue every now and then, supposed regularly, and you've got like Jeff Shaw, who's again like doesn't do every issue. It's like there's a lot of guys who just come and sort of pop up here and there, and they're great, but they're not doing a ton. I'm just trying to find.
I'm feeling
scrolling through my list.
Marvel's got. This happens sometimes. They've got a little bit of a house style thing going on right now.
Italian.
So yeah, there's an Italian house style thing going on, and it's like everybody's kind of from a Jim Lee distant background. Like and a lot of the X books kind of look the same. So where you say Pepe Larraz, which is really good.
Pepe Larraz is great. It's one of the best best recent artists come around. And,
but it still is of a style or I don't know. There's something very similar about all those, which isn't there.
Marco Cacchetto, when he's actually drawing Ultimate Spider-Man's great, but he seems like drawing it less and less, and it's David Messina more and more, which is not my favorite.
Yeah, I'm saying it's DC, and by saying DC, what I mean is Spain.
So, what did you pick your top 3 or 2?
I mean, we just named a bunch of them, but
pick 3. Pick 3 of them.
Well, I would say
John Romita,
Dave Gibbons. I mean, if we're gonna add Greg Smallwood in there, I'm gonna say Greg Smallwood. I don't know if we can say that Jorge Fornes is still there, but if I am, it's him.
Yeah, well, he's occasionally shows up. Yeah, and then you got the other side. You've got like Images, a lot of good, obviously a lot of great artists, but
yes,
over at Ghost Machine, you've got Brian Hitch, and you've got
I thought about that. You've got
Ivan Reis and
then Fabach and
yeah,
who's Brian Hitch doing career work. Yeah.
There's good art now. There is.
There's a lot of good art now. You really there's much less. I think it's harder to get in because you have global competition, but and because it's much less steady work.
Price control.
Yeah, but also the level of artistry keeps going up. It really does. Like that's one thing that we can say, like in our time talking about comic, the level of artistry.
I do think about this because we do this show and we critique these books, and we have standards we want them to meet, and we criticize when they don't. But if we had been doing this show in the 80s or the 70s, there was so much bad art. It was a disposable thing that wasn't considered like high art. And so even through into the 90s, there would have been a lot of bad comic art that we would have talked about.
Yeah, I mean, all through the 90s, in the beginning, in the beginning, like you were still using house guys who were fine. They got the job done.
Because you're just telling stories for kids that they read and never looked at again.
Disposable, but it isn't that anymore. And that bar is getting high, I think.
I'm going to do this next email because I don't understand it. Greag B from Ann Arbor, Michigan says, Tom King versus Jonathan Hickman, if you will. Who's going to lose? Been thinking about this for 3 minutes and 19 seconds, which is not a lot of time.
Well,
are they fighting? Because if they're fighting, one of them was in the CIA, one wasn't. So I got to go with the guy who was in the CIA. But
and like you'd think, I don't know. Honestly, I haven't seen Hickman in a long time, so I don't know. And
He's a pretty big guy. He's a pretty big guy.
But it's been enough years, and we're all middle aged, so it's going over that hill.
I still got to go with the guy who's had some sort of military training.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So in my mental image of both of those people, I think Hickman looks like more of an ass kicker, but we know like Tom King does presumably know how to handle automatic weaponry.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like Hickman is a big guy, size wise, height wise.
Like he's height-wise.
And I feel like Tom King's shorter.
Yes, he is.
But again, and Hickman's a Southern guy. He might know how to kick ass. But again, one guy was trained to kill people. So, I mean, if you put all the comic creators in the room, I'm pretty sure Tom King's walking out.
I'm pretty sure he's just asking which writer we like more.
He doesn't say that though. He's just talking about who will lose. What does that even mean?
All right, well, it's just which writer.
Well, if it's about who we like more, we were obviously. I like
Tom
Hickman, but Tom King. Tom King's like my favorite writer.
Yeah.
But Greg, think about it for more than 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Give us slightly more context to what you're asking, or maybe this is what you want. You want us
maybe
to flail around.
this is the thought exercise, and I like that because we just had to. Yeah.
Who cooks the best pecan pie? Maybe it's Jonathan Hickman.
That's going to be Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah. Who?
What's Tom King's like? Okay, so wait.
Who's more heady?
Mark this down. Ooh. See, that's a question. Because that's one of those things you say, and instantly I was like, well, it's
yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
It's hard one.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Tom what his secret recipe like what's the thing you cook real good better than anything else.
You can ask him when we used to employ Hickman.
Yeah.
A long time ago. He was a columnist for iFanboy. And Tom King was a member of the iFan base.
Yeah. We got him through the war.
So thanks for writing in, Greg and David. I enjoyed both of those questions. I'm still thinking about what the second one means, but thank you for writing in. We want to hear from you. Contact@ifanboy.com is how you write in.
We'll check it back in about 6-8 months to let you know how long we've been thinking about what you were thinking about.
I did want to mention this because we forgot to mention on the media split itself. So next month, November is our final media split of the year. We always end in November because December is the all media show. And we always usually end on the year-end mailbag. So if you want to get your email about non-comics media in for the year-end mailbag, write into contact@ifanboy.com and write in the media split in the subject line, so we know that you want to be on that show. And speaking of media split, this past week we had a new episode come out, the October episode, where we talked about One Battle After Another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson film. We talked about Alien Earth Season 1, or maybe the only season, still hasn't been renewed yet. And we also talked about, of course, a lot of other TV shows and things we've been watching and films and things like that. But that was a fun one. So check that out, the feed right behind this show. This coming week will be our Booksplode for October. We're talking about Spectators from Brian K. Vaughan and Nico Henrichon. So that'll be coming to you this coming Thursday. The date of that is the 16th. You can find that on the feed when it comes out. And then in 2 weeks, we're inching closer to the Talksplode, right?
Yeah. I got something on the schedule. Like it's
on the schedule. It's not in the can, but it's on the schedule. That's a good step. Also in 2 weeks, short days after that comes out, will be our live Pick of the Week episode 1000, streaming live on October 24th. That's a Friday night. The show will begin at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on youtube.com/ifanboy. The live stream will start about at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. There's going to be a special video that plays while you wait for the show to start. So get there early. Get there at 8:30, 5:30. You're not going to want to miss the special video, which has not been made yet, but will happen. So check that out. It's been a lot of editing this week, and now I have time for it. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun night. We're going to talk about the pick of the week. We're going to talk about the patron pick. And so all you patrons who vote, you have a big job that week to pick only the second book we're going to talk about. Then once those books are done, we'll be answering your emails for the rest of the night. And there'll be special guests. We are reconfirming everyone. Most everyone's reconfirmed. We'll have 8 people beyond Josh and I on the show, hopefully.
We should ask everybody that question.
Send your email to contact@ifanboy.com. Put 1000 in the subject line. We already have more emails than we're going to be able to answer, but I still would love people to send them in because I want to get everyone's emails. I want to get some weird questions for late in the night. There's already been some weird ones I know we're definitely not going to answer, but I'm glad you send them in. And get them in. I haven't set a deadline yet for emails, but you're going to have until sometime that week. I should set a deadline soon. But get them in. Put 1000 in the subject line. Thank you very much. In the meantime, you can find our library of all of our shows, 1,500 shows over at ifanboy.com, wherever podcasts are sold. Never miss a show. Find out what the pick of the week is before the show comes out by following us at iFanboy Comics on Instagram and Threads, and ifanboy.com on Blue Sky. Individually, we are C.S. Kilpatrick and J.A. Flanagan on Instagram. That's the only place on the internet, although Josh does have a Threads account that does not use, that you can find us. And also, don't miss a former iFanboy writer, Jeff Reed's comic book deep dives every Tuesday and Friday. They're on Instagram. They're on They're on Instagram, they're on Threads, they're on Facebook, and they are on youtube.com/iFanboy.
I'm thinking about an Instagram exit.
Well,
Anyway,
they know where to find Josh. He'll be
yeah,
a mystery.
completely disconnected. Please consider writing us a review or leaving a star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is you listen to podcasts that have the option to do that. For example, if you're a Pocket Cats listener, Pocket Cats. Hold on, write that down.
Pocket Cats. Hold on. There's a business idea.
Ow! I can't believe, like, you know what? I can't
Just pull
believe
a
that's
cat
not a
out.
thing.
Pocket
There's
Cats.
you as a kid. That's
It's
a
like a
whole kid
Tamagotchi.
brand.
It's like a
We
Tamagotchi.
could pitch a Disney show on that one. Pocket Cats.
Pocket Cats.
Anyways, if you're listening there, you have to be subscribed and have downloaded a few episodes that before you can do that. Can you just download like 4 of them and then immediately?
I don't know. I don't have Pocket Cats.
Why are we talking about Pocket Cats still?
Because I'm not thinking about what Pocket Cats do. They save the day, solve crimes.
They tear your shit out of your pockets. Is what
Who are the enemies of Pocket Cats?
Pocket mice, pocket dogs,
Pocket dogs.
Zipper dogs,
Pouch dogs.
Subscribe. What was that?
Pouch dogs.
Pouch dog. Subscribe to
Pouch puppies.
youtube.com/iFanboy, where you can check out the couch puppies on her.
The pocket.
I don't talk like that. That's why it's a joke, you see. Just point that out. That's the irony.
That was good.
Where you can watch a video of this show as well as
I don't even know
special
where we are
edition
anymore.
shows.
What's happening?
I just read from the last word I said. Jeff Reed's comic book deep dives are on there too over at that's youtube.com/iFanboy in case you missed it 4 minutes ago. And all of our old video shows from 2007 to 2012 there. It's New York Comic Con right now as you're listening, as I'm recording this. And I guess possibly as you're listening to it, it'll be over. But no, it could still be on. You could listen to us on the way to New York Comic Con.
For the last day, yeah. It'll be out.
Or if you're a patron, you could.
If you're a patron, you'll have it Saturday, for sure.
That's true. Anyway, you could go for my friend was sending me some photos from it, and I remembered being just a photobomb by Tom Jane, and I was like, did that really happen?
Was that
I feel like it was New York. I'm seeing New York.
No, Ron and I got video bombed by him in Seattle.
I was there. I was shooting, I thought. No,
there was one. It was just me and Ron. It was Seattle or WonderCon.
Huh.
Wasn't New York.
Here's the thing: memory is bullshit. It doesn't mean
Seattle.
anything.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to tell you. Finally, join the iFanboy After Show on Patreon.
He popped up a lot.
Yeah, he did. We definitely saw him in San Diego, but when he showed, anyway,
he popped up a lot.
He did,
and even in Graphically Days.
Yeah. The iFanboy After Show. We'll talk about all the books we didn't read this week. That'll be on Patreon.
Are we still on?
Fanboy. Yeah, for $10 a month. I have all. Thanks for listening. I'm Josh. I usually go less, but I want it done.
I'm Connor. I don't know what's happened.
Yeah, you don't know.
I never know.
I don't know. You at least have executive functioning.